At 7:15 in the morning, a sledgehammer ripped straight through the wall of my cabin, splinters flying like shrapnel. What Alicia Thomas, the president of our HOA, didn't realize was that someone was sitting inside someone with the authority to end her entire world. That moment, the demolition of my cabin, over $2,400 in so-called unpaid HOA fees, became the most expensive mistake she would ever make. But to understand how I ended up here watching my pride and joy collapse around me while the state attorney general sat at my kitchen table, you need to know how this nightmare began. My name is Austin Bailey. Up until 6 months ago, I thought I was living the American dream. Nice house in Maplewood Hills, a wife who stuck with me through deployments and sleepless nights, and a job that gave me purpose helping veterans navigate the legal mess of housing discrimination. On weekends, I built things. My favorite project was a cedar guest cabin tucked behind my house. 3 months of sweat blisters and late nights, every board nailed by hand. Lisa, my wife, would bring me lemonade and sandwiches while I worked. We dreamed of turning it into an office, maybe a guest house for her parents. It wasn't just a cabin. It was proof that after years of war, I could still build something worth keeping. Then, Alicia moved in. Picture a real estate brochure with teeth blonde highlights designer dresses, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She got herself elected HOA president almost overnight. At first, it was petty stuff letters about mailbox colors, complaints about lawn height. Annoying, but harmless. Then came the new fees, emergency assessments for problems no one had ever seen, threats of penalties if we didn't pay up. Most neighbors caved. Who has time to fight City Hall when you've got kids and bills? But Alicia miscalculated with me. One Tuesday morning, she marched across my lawn waving a fake court order. According to her, I owed $2,400 in back HOA fees, plus a $15,000 non-compliance penalty. If I didn't pay, she said the cabin would be demolished within 24 hours. The paper had all the right seals, all the right formatting, but my gut screamed it was bogus. 20 years in the military sharpens your instincts, and everything about it smelled wrong. I looked her straight in the eye and told her I'm not paying a dime until you prove those fees are legitimate. Her fake smile cracked, and for half a second I saw the predator behind the mask. She leaned in close and whispered, "People who don't follow the rules here. They don't last long." Then she strutted away, heels sinking into my lawn like she owned it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared out my bedroom window and saw something that froze my blood. Alicia was in my yard at 2 in the morning, shovel in hand, burying a metal box next to the cabin's foundation. She worked fast, looking over her shoulder every few seconds. When she left, she paused, staring at the cabin like she was memorizing it, then disappeared into the dark. Lisa and I watched the security footage 3 times, whispering the same question. What the hell did she just bury? For the first time, I doubted myself. Maybe I should just pay, make it go away. Lisa suggested it. "Pick our battles, Austin. This isn't Afghanistan." She was right in a way. It wasn't a battlefield. But I couldn't shake the feeling that if I caved, I'd be letting her win, letting her run roughshod over every veteran, every family she'd already destroyed. I sat at the table with my head in my hands, asking myself if I was being reckless, if my pride was about to cost us everything. For a moment, I wanted to quit. But the next morning, I went digging not in the dirt, but in the courthouse records. What I found made my stomach churn. Over the past 2 years, Alicia had filed demolition orders for 17 properties, all of them stamped by the same judge. Only problem: that judge had been dead for 8 months. Every victim was someone vulnerable: elderly couples, single moms, veterans who couldn't afford lawyers. This wasn't a neighborhood dispute. It was organized theft, dressed up in HOA letterhead. My first real break came from an unlikely source, Alicia's own sister, Diane, who also happened to be the HOA treasurer. She cornered me outside the courthouse, shaking like a leaf. We drove to a diner 2 towns over where she spilled everything. Alicia owed $75,000 to loan sharks after a failed real estate scheme. The only way to pay them back was to seize homes, flip properties, and sell off whatever she could demolish. Sheds, decks, pool equipment, all stolen, all sold for cash. Diane showed me pictures families crying as their homes were stripped, kids standing in empty yards where swing sets used to be. Alicia kept those pictures as trophies. She called them her compliance victories. I should have stopped there, but I didn't. Diane offered to take me to Alicia's storage unit where she kept the stolen property. We barely made it inside before Alicia appeared, stepping out from behind the units with a baseball bat. She smirked at her sister, then at me. "The troublesome veteran and my traitor sibling," she said. "How touching." She swung the bat in the air, inches from my face. My pulse pounded. "You have no idea what you're stepping into. The people I owe, they don't care about your service or your little cabin. They care about results." Before she could take it further, Derek Morrison, a local contractor she'd been using to do her dirty work, showed up. Big guy, Iraq vet like me. He stood there with a crowbar and said calmly, "Mrs. Thomas, put the bat down." For the first time, Alicia hesitated. But then her phone rang. Whatever was said on the other end drained the blood from her face. "Tomorrow morning," she muttered. "I'll handle it." That was when I knew the cabin wasn't just a target, it was her lifeline. She had 24 hours to deliver, or the people she owed money to would come collecting. That night, I made a call to someone who still believed in justice, Patricia Williams, the state attorney general. We'd emailed before about veteran housing cases, but now I needed more than advice. I told her everything. To my surprise, she already knew Alicia's name. Patricia had been building a case against HOA fraud for months. "How would you feel about helping me catch her in the act?" she asked. The plan was insane. Patricia would meet me at the cabin the next morning for what looked like a routine consultation. At the exact same time, Alicia would arrive with her demolition crew. If all went well, the Attorney General would watch a federal crime happen in real time. Risky? Absolutely. But after everything Alicia had done, I was willing to gamble. At dawn, Derek rolled up with his crew, reluctantly hauling sledgehammers and saws. He showed me another demolition order, looked legitimate down to the seal. If I didn't know the judge was dead, I might have believed it too. He pulled me aside. "Austin, I hate this, but if I don't follow through, she'll bankrupt my company." I told him to trust me. "When you see who walks into this cabin, don't stop. Just play along." He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Patricia arrived at 7 sharp, briefcase in hand, composed as ever. I barely had time to explain before Alicia's BMW screeched into my driveway, tires screaming. She jumped out, hair, wild eyes, frantic, dressed like she was ready for battle. Gone was the polished suburban queen. This was a cornered animal. She stormed toward Derek, screaming, "Do it now! Not in an hour! Not later now!" Derek protested that the cabin was occupied, that safety laws forbid demolishing it. Alicia shoved him, grabbed a sledgehammer, and marched straight to my wall. Patricia sat inside, phone out, recording. My heart raced. Alicia raised the hammer above her head. "Sometimes you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet," she hissed and smashed it into the wood. The cabin shook. Dust filled the air. Patricia whispered, "This is it. Keep calm." Another swing, louder this time, splinters flying. Alicia was ranting about veterans who thought they were special homeowners who didn't respect authority. She was unhinged, but her blows weren't random. She was targeting support beams, trying to bring the whole structure down quickly. Then she did something worse. She grabbed spray paint and scrawled across the collapsing wall, "Veterans don't belong here," in red letters. My stomach twisted. That wasn't just vandalism, that was a hate crime, and she'd just committed it in front of the state's top prosecutor. The moment Patricia stood up and flashed her badge, the world shifted. "I'm Attorney General Patricia Williams," she said loudly, her voice cutting through the chaos. "And I just witnessed federal crimes, including hate crimes, with my own eyes." Alicia froze mid-swing, eyes wide, sledgehammer dangling. For once, she was speechless. Then another voice rang out. "Special Agent John Hayes, FBI." A man in a vest stepped from behind Derek's truck, badge in hand. More federal vehicles pulled up, agents swarming the yard. The black SUVs at the end of the street suddenly didn't look so intimidating. Alicia's scream cut through the air. "This is harassment. I have authority. But it was too late. Diane appeared clutching a banker's box of documents. She shouted over the chaos, "It's over, Alicia." I gave them everything, the accounts, the records, the stolen property lists. Alicia's face twisted with betrayal. She turned on me, thrashing against the cuffs. "This is your fault. If you'd just paid your fees." Her words broke into sobs as agents dragged her away. And then, in the rubble of my demolished cabin, the FBI found the box Alicia buried. Inside, files on dozens of families' financial trails and detailed plans for targeting entire communities. Organized crime exposed by the very woman who thought she could bully me into silence. That was the moment her power collapsed. The HOA dictator, the suburban queen reduced to a criminal in cuffs, her empire of fear crumbling in front of the neighbors she had terrorized. Some fights are worth picking. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this: bullies destroy themselves the moment you stop being afraid.